Alright guys, well today I'm on my way down to test drive the Polestar. I've never even seen this car in real life, let alone test driven it. It's an electric car. It's something of a derivative from a Volvo. I think the same as Lexus originally came from Toyota. Polestar's sort of coming from Volvo, something along those lines. This will be an interesting video. For one, if I really like the car, I might buy it. I could be tempted to jump ship. Okay guys, here we are, the Polestar 2. How awesome is this car? I actually really like the looks. I like the design. You can tell it's got that Volvo-esque type of design to it. The rear wheel drive has similar sized battery pack to the Model Y. It also has very similar range. A lot of the specs are actually very similar. Having a look at the front of the car, you might notice that there's a radar sensor in there, or LiDAR, something along those lines. This has forward collision assist, but it doesn't have the auto driving, or whatever you want to call it with the Tesla. It doesn't have that technology in it yet. So this car really is aiming at someone perhaps that is more into something like a Mercedes. They want that really nice luxury feel, but they're not really looking for that technology side. They just want the latest and greatest, but they're not necessarily looking for the full-on technology geek out stuff that Tesla offers. Now the car has everything you'd expect to see. You've got the front trunk, of course, because there's no motor in it, albeit that this front trunk is not as large as the Model Ys, but it is still reasonable. It also comes with a tyre repair kit and a pump, just in case you get in a bit of strife. Going around the side, you can see you've got a traditional style fuel cap here, but when you open it, you've got your charge port with your high voltage charging and your DC fast charger just underneath that. Going on from there and into the boot, and they've kept with this cool design of how can we make this boot as versatile as possible. So they've got a false floor. They've got this little flip-up bay here which divides your boot in half for shopping. It also has elastic bands in there so you can tie off things so they're not flying around in your boot. On top of that, you've got this complete false floor that lifts up and you have more storage below. This is really useful for things that you don't use every day, albeit a spare charger or your windscreen shade, or just to throw a jumper or a wind cheater under for those days that you need it. It's also got, well, a sort of hatch style back. The whole boot lifts up. You can get rid of this parcel shelf as you see here, and then the seats fold down as well, really well and really flat. That gives you tons of space. If you got rid of this parcel shelf, you'd have tons and tons of space for heaps of storage. You've got the center seat that folds down so you can still have 4 passengers and have your fishing rods or your skis or whatever it is, just for that long and narrow item. The car's got passive entry, so you don't need to click any buttons. It just knows when you're at the car because the key's in your pocket. You can also program your phone to the Bluetooth and use your phone as your key. It's got those options that we're growing accustomed to seeing. Having a look, I thought this was pretty cool, the mirrors. These are what they called frameless mirrors, and they really are. Check it out. It's not just a glass mirror within a housing that moves, but the entire housing moves, allowing them to get rid of the thicker, bulkier edge and go for a more streamlined look. I really like the way they've gone with this. It looks really neat. You probably have a bit more room in the back of the Model Y in regards to head height, but this is still completely acceptable. Again, I'm 6 foot. I haven't adjusted this seat at all yet, but let's see how low it goes. Holy moly, I feel like I'm sitting on the ground. That's a lot of adjustment. Let's go up and see. I'm guessing with that much adjustment, I'll probably be hitting my head on the roof as I go up. That's a decent amount of adjustment. I like to sit pretty high so I can see down out the car. Moving forward a bit, back adjustment. So it's got a manual steering wheel adjustment. There we go. That's a traditional, unlike the Tesla, which has it in the interface. Hopping into the front, you've got that tablet style screen, which seems to be the way of the world these days. Everyone wants a large, high definition infotainment screen, easy to look at and easy to use. Having a look at this one, you've got your cameras, you've got all of your car's details down here so you can change all your options. And then of course, you can go to Maps, Spotify, all the rest of it, it's all there. Personally, I like leaving it on Maps just to help myself navigate around. That being said, check this out. In front of the steering wheel, there's Maps as well. This is something that the Teslas don't get until you pay for something like a $250,000 car. You've got 2 options. You can have the GPS with a speedometer and your range, or you can click it, get rid of that if you find that too distracting, and just have a large speedometer with a large range, and it even shows you the current speed of the road you're on. Alright, let's take it for a test drive. Okay, so first thoughts. I mean, it's a beautiful car. Well, my left knee's on the center console. I don't know if I care about that. It's just something I pick up coming out of the Tesla. Driving, it's smooth. It's got a bit more engine noise than the Tesla does. I'm going to give it a bit of a hook here, and let's see how she goes. Ooh. mean, possibly faster than Model Y. It might not be. I haven't looked at the stats, but it feels impressive regardless. Yeah, this really gets up on boogies. It really does. There's a lot more motor noise though. Electric motor, that is, but you can hear it whirling. I'll be quiet, see if you can hear it. So I've got it on 1 foot driving, same as the Tesla. I would say the regen's almost identical. The acceleration is almost identical. One thing that's really odd is the indicator sound, if you can hear that. I'm trying to put my finger on what it reminds me of. It reminds me of like a hearing test. That's what that's what it is. Can you hear this sound? Yeah, look, if maybe that's an easy change, I don't know. But or maybe you'd get used to it. So from there, this has a phenomenal sound system, but so does the Tesla Model Y. Pricing, by the time you get leather in this, or vegan leather, whatever they call it, you get your rear wheel drive, your standard range battery, whatever it is, you're around that 75k price. So you're around the same price as the Model Y as well. You're in quite a different car. This is coming, it's a sort of crossover between the Model 3 and Model Y. It's hard to put it, but it feels as tall as the Model Y, but then you've got the standard sedan shaped boot. Going on from there, the storage is all similar, the sound system's similar, your power's similar, your braking regen's similar. You're still getting around 440 kilometers of range to a full charge, realistic range, and that's the same as I'm getting 438 kilometers in my Model Y real range, as opposed to 550 kilometers, which is what they tell you on the paperwork. So for all intents and purposes, these cars are really good apples for apples, or potatoes for potatoes. It depends where you're from. You've got your indicator on your left-hand stalk as well. Everything about this is similar, except the bonnet hatch is a traditional bonnet hatch instead of being done on the computer. Do I care about that? Not really. You know, for the most part, for all intents and purposes, this car is right out there on the quality of build, on the drive, on everything about it. All in all, I really like this car. And why would I buy this car? Why? I'd buy this to be different. The only reason I would go to the Tesla is for its ability to drive down the freeway with minimal intervention. For the most part, you barely need to touch the steering wheel. Polestar don't have that, and that's completely acceptable. 99% of the cars in the world don't have that. It's a very unique thing to me. Perhaps you don't want that. Perhaps you just drive in the city, you only drive a couple of minutes, or you only do the school pickup and you've never had it before and you don't miss it and you don't want it. So all in all, this is a beautiful car. I'd put it up there with BMW and Mercedes any day of the week, especially for its ability to be so alternative and so unusual. And the only other thing I haven't mentioned, and that's the steering. Look, it's super light. Again, I would say it's lighter than the Tesla. The Tesla has it has a feel to it, and I wouldn't argue that it's better or worse. A bit like you want to feel the road. These light steering wheels, they remind me of a high-end luxury car in the way that, it's so easy to steer them, but at the same time you lose that feel of the road. If you're going around the corner, I feel like you're more likely to slide out with this light steering, whereas the slightly heavier one where you can feel the road, I just feel like you've got a better idea of where the wheels are and how they're gripping. All the maps and interface, as you'd expect. They run really well, they're high quality, there's no lag in them, as you'd expect from a manufacturer that comes from Volvo, who's been building cars forever. Now there's two things I'd like to mention here, and this is in regards to Volvo and Tesla. Tesla in the last couple of years have said, well, there's no point us patenting everything, because all we will be doing is holding the world back, basically. You know, they didn't put a patent on a lot of their work, and they said, if you want to copy our work, that's fine, as long as we have an agreement that we can use some of yours as well. So Tesla have said, we're willing to work with the world, and we don't want to hold people back. We don't want to hold you back and say, no, you can't copy our engine design, and you can't copy our battery design, because they know it's only for the good of the world to move forward. And a similar thing actually happened with Volvo back in the day. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but Volvo invented the 3-point seatbelt for 3-point harness. That's this guy here, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. They invented this. They had the patent on it, and it was theirs, and no one else could use it. And they just said, you know what? This is saving so many lives. We're going to open the patent up. Anyone that wants to use it can use it. And so many cars put it in, it became a standard, and now every car sold has to have a 3-point seatbelt. And I really admire these two companies for this outlook of, we're not here to burn everyone else. We just want to drive innovation and drive forward and push the world and see it become a better place. And of course, Polestar, coming from Volvo, has the same blood in its veins, has the same DNA running through the car, and I really respect it for that. Now, it's worth mentioning servicing. As I said, this is like a sister company to Volvo, and no, there's not Polestar service centres everywhere, but there are Volvo service centres. This car comes with 5 years of free servicing, and yes, you can get it done at any Volvo service centre. Alright guys, I hope you liked going through this Polestar 2 with me. I do have lined up a test drive of a Kia EV, the new one that's coming out, and I believe it's a 3.6 second four-door car. 3.6 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour. That's faster than my old 6-litre V8 Ute. That was a 2-door Ute, light as hell, has a massive junk in it, and it still wasn't as fast to 100 as this Kia 4-door car. That is unreal. That car's got to land in Australia mid to late March, and we'll test drive it then. Alright guys, thanks for watching.